When Apple announced the new iPad Pro last month, it tried to drive one point home, that the iPad Pro is good enough to replace your computer.
It's going to push what you can do on iPad or on any computer even further.
I've always found that the iPad Pro is good for things like entertainment and okay for light work. So does the new iPad Pro change any of that? No. Apple replaced the home button with Face ID, so there's more room for more screen on the front of the iPad, and that's good. But Apple also changed the curved design of last year's model to more rigid edges, which I don't really like that much. The screen is similar to last year's iPad Pro, and I didn't really notice a difference when I was watching movies and TV shows. Where I did notice a difference, however, is in the surround sound speakers, which were really good when I was watching Star Wars. The iPad Pro has a new USBC port on the bottom instead of Lightning, which means you can use it to attach monitors, cameras, and even charge phones. I'm glad Apple's moving away from Lightning and towards USB-C, which more gadgets use, but it meant that I had to have two different chargers with me, one for my iPhone and one for my iPad. The iPad Pro's battery life is really good too. I stopped charging it on Friday, and then over the weekend used it to play games, watch movies, and chat with friends, and I still had 30% battery life left on Monday morning. The iPad Pro is really fast too, and it didn't slow down, even when I was using an AR app with a 3D version of a human skull and zooming in and out. But you can do that with other iPads too. You might want the extra processing power if you're editing video on an iPad or really high-res photos. I paid $179 for the keyboard accessory to the iPad Pro too. It's a pretty good keyboard and I was able to type on it for emails and even part of this review. But I also thought that it felt and looked kind of cheap, especially considering it costs $179. There's also the new Apple Pencil too, which has a couple new functions and also wirelessly charges when it's attached to the side of the iPad Pro with a magnet. That's much better than the older Apple Pencil, which you had to plug into the iPad to charge. The Apple Pencil 2 also has a new feature that lets you switch between tools within apps, so you can double tap it to switch between a paintbrush and an eraser, for example. Despite Apple's promise, I can't actually do work on the iPad Pro, and that means it doesn't replace my computer. Apple likes to suggest the iPad Pro is good at multitasking, and I guess it is. I like that I can run two apps side by side, but that's still too limiting, and I have to constantly move from the keyboard and swipe to find the app that I'm looking for. I feel like the iPad Pro isn't fully living up to its potential. The software is great for a tablet, but then I feel like when you attach the keyboard, you should be able to do so much more, like you can on a Mac with multiple windows and applications open. If you're buying the new iPad Pro with a keyboard and the Apple Pencil, you might as well just get the new MacBook Air. It'll cost you an additional $100, but you can do so much more with it. And if it's just a tablet that you need, get the $329 regular iPad. Apple's 11-inch iPad Pro starts at $799, while the larger 12.9-inch model starts at $999. As fast and nice as the new iPad Pro is, it's probably overkill for most people.